Hello, my cookies, and welcome. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I'm going to be making some fresh pasta, which I know I've done before, but I love doing it. And I'm also going to be making a mushroom and pork ragu. Really rich and decadent sauce for this fresh pasta. So let's gather our ingredients. For the pasta, dead simple. You're going to need a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, AP flour. You're also going to need eggs. That's it. Let's get started. All right, 2 cups of AP flour here. So maybe a 1/4 teaspoon kosher salt here. All right, now let's start with these eggs. We're gonna start with 3 eggs here. And we're probably gonna add about 2 yolks, but I wanna see what this looks like first. All right, here we go. All right, it's looking sandy, like small little pebbles. And when you squeeze it together, it'll stick together. We're almost there. We're gonna add 1 yolk, and we're gonna add about 2 teaspoons of olive oil here. All right, let's get the lid back on. Let's pulse it at least 5 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let it run for a minute. Perfect, which is right where I want it. I'm gonna get it out onto my flour dusted cutting board here, and we're just gonna knead it by hand until it's smooth. All right, get it on out. That came together so quick. This is nice because when you pinch it together and you make it really thin here, see how the edges don't really crack? That's nice because you want it nice and supple, but you don't want it like too wet. You don't want it too dry. All right, look at that. We got our nice little ball pasta here. I'm gonna wrap it in plastic wrap and I'm gonna let it rest. You wanna let it rest for about 2 hours. You let it rest in the fridge, which is fine. Maybe pull it out 5 or 10 minutes before you intend to roll it out. That way it'll come up to room temp and will be a little bit easier. Let's get this wrapped in plastic. So we're doing a mushroom and pork ragu to go with this fresh pasta. Before the ragu, let's gather our ingredients. You are going to need fresh parsley, garlic, butter, oregano, onion. I have some cremini mushrooms here. I recommend also doing some dried porcinis if you can find them. We're also gonna need some heavy cream. I got some ground pork. And last but not least, I haven't decided which one I'm gonna use. I'm either gonna use a little tomato sauce or a little crushed tomatoes. All right. So now that we know what we're doing and we've gathered our ingredients, let's get started. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash the mushrooms. People might tell you, don't wash the mushrooms, they absorb the water. Yeah, we're gonna cook that water off. It's gonna pat them dry here. All right, I'm just going to slice these thin and then I'll chop them up afterwards. All right, I'm just gonna rough chop these, make them a little smaller. I wanna break them down a little bit. I want them to kind of be like ground meat in here. And again, this is 8 ounces of cremini mushrooms. You can probably get away with less. All right, let's go ahead and get these in a bowl. I'm also gonna dice up my onion. All right, so we're gonna 1 onion, we're gonna dice it up, chop fine. So nothing bigger than a 1/4 inch here. All right, let's dice this up, chop fine. And this knife needs a little honing. All right, I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of olive oil here. 1, 2. All right. So let's heat that oil up over a medium heat. You want it to shimmer. We're gonna get our onions and mushroom in. We're gonna cover it. It'll release some of the juices and then we're gonna cook those down. You want your onions sauteed and getting translucent. So we're thinking about 8 minutes total here. All right, we got our shimmer. Let's go ahead and add our onions and mushrooms here. Good sizzle. It's gonna be a lot of sauce. I'm gonna put about a 1/2 teaspoon kosher salt in here. All right, it's been about 3 minutes. I think we've released all our liquid here. So I'm gonna go ahead and uncover it. Let's stir it up. Ooh, mushroom flavor, yeah. Yeah. All right, let's keep cooking. We want about another 5 minutes. Did about 3 teaspoons or 3 garlic cloves to make about a tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm gonna add that in just a minute. First things first, let's get this pork in. Pan is dry. My onions are cooked. My mushrooms are cooked. Go ahead and get my ground pork in. Now you just barely want to cook this through. You don't want to try and get browning on it. You'll dry out the meat. Let's chop it up. All right, so the majority of this pork is cooked. It's not completely cooked yet, but I'm gonna add my garlic right now. And I'm just gonna cook the garlic until it's fragrant and the rest of the pork is just cooked through, no pink left. And then let's add about 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, dried oregano. Now it's time to do a little deglaze. If you're not using an amazing non-stick hex-clad pan and you just have a regular pot, that's fine. Deglaze with a little bit of wine. Dry white. Perfect. About a half cup. We're just going to cook until that's essentially evaporated. We're going to add a little bit of cream. We're going to add our tomatoes. And we're going to kind of finish off this ragu. All right, so I have how many ounces is this? 13. It seems like a little bit much. I'm just going to start with putting half of this in. For the heavy cream, let's do about half a cup. All right, I'm going to finish with a little bit of butter as well, but this will kind of help make the sauce be cohesive, which is exactly what I want. But we're going to turn the heat down to low, stir it all together, and see how we're looking in a little bit. You know what? I'm going to use all that tomato. Let's do it. Let's do all the tomato. And I'm going to add a touch more cream, maybe make it 2/3 a cup of cream total. That looks nice. Ooh, yeah, it's coming together. Bring it up to a simmer, drop the heat down to low, and just kind of let it go for a little bit. Low heat. Just simmer it for a bit, let the flavors meld, let the tomato kind of cook a little bit, turn savory. While that's going, I'm gonna heat up a pot of water. Let's dust this down. I'm not gonna get all this pasta dough. I'm just gonna do enough, kind of one dish here. Instead of half, maybe I'll do like a quarter. I'll do a third of the pasta dough here. Let the rest of this keep resting, wrap it up, don't let it dry out. You gotta wrap it up. You pretty much just don't want it to stick to itself. You don't need a ton of flour. Just gonna roll it out. Yeah, this definitely needs to rest more. You see how it's springing back like crazy? It means it hasn't rested enough. That's fine. I'm gonna fight it. It's gonna add another half teaspoon salt to my ragu. You can absolutely use a pasta maker here. I'm gonna roll it out as thin as I can. Pretty thin. I like it. You can pretty much see the board through it. All right, I've rolled this out. I'm gonna dust it with a little bit more flour. This just prevents it from sticking to itself, which is extremely important when we start to roll it up. I don't really want to roll it too tightly. I don't want it to stick to itself. I'm just going to take my time, use my bench scraper to loosen it up if it's sticking to the board. Just roll it up nice and easy, gentle hands, gentle fingers. All right. So now that I've rolled it up, I'm going to square it off. This little bit can be used again. I'm going to square this off. You want a razor sharp knife. Now, however thick you want it, go a little thinner because it's going to expand in the water. All right. So if you do it like this, gonna come out like that. All right, so let's cut it relatively thin here. All right, I'm just gonna shake these loose, make sure they unroll. They do. All right, let's go quick here. Dust everything with flour. That looks pretty good. All right, make sure you salt your water. Make sure it's salty like the sea. When using fresh pasta, you need salty like the sea water. I do that as well with box pasta, but this is only gonna cook, for 3 minutes. You want it salted water. Let's go ahead and get this fresh pasta in. I'm gonna cook in about 3 minutes. Make sure to separate it. You don't want it clinging together. I love how rustic this is. Now I am gonna save a little bit of this pasta water just in case I need it. Liquid gold, they say. Okay, we're looking good here. Let's see if it's tender. Almost. Go ahead and drain the pasta. Remember, I did reserve a little bit of pasta water here, just in case I need it. This, I'll show you how I finish it. All right, so let's take a little bit of sauce. Take a little bit of butter, start with a tablespoon. Teeny bit more butter. Low heat here. Just want it to glisten, Teeny bit more sauce. Add the pasta. Let's toss to combine. I'm gonna add a teeny bit of pasta water here, just a teeny bit. Want a little more butter. Nice, cohesive. All right, let's go ahead and plate this up. Let's do a little bit of this. Let's forget a little bit of parsley. This will add a little bit of nice freshness to the pasta. You got some heavy flavors in there, and this is a nice and light one. And you know what? For extra measure, let's do a little drizzle of olive oil. What do you think? Let's do a little drizzle of olive oil. All right, let's go ahead and eat this. Can't wait. Oh, yeah. All right, we got some pork. Go ahead. It's delicious. I want to get another bite here. I love the chew of this homemade pasta. It's like al dente. Perfect al dente. All right, let's get another bite here. A little bit of salt helps so much. You get that chew of the al dente pasta, and then you get the richness of the pork and the mushroominess. They kind of like, they're holding hands. The pork and the mushroom, they're like la-ta-da, skipping down the street in your mouth, together in harmony. And it's just this deep, savory flavor. And then the heavy cream and a little bit of tomato add the sauciness that you like. That kind of makes this a little bit more cohesive. The butter's there, but it's on the back end. It just kind of helps that heavy cream, that richness kind of carry everything through. Mushroom and pork, who knew? Thank you all. Have a fantastic day.